So hello guys, and welcome back to the SCPH Quarantine Tournament number 5. I'm Dax, and I'm gonna be joined by a certain world record, hindi naman, parang local record holder of fastest game in an SCPH tournament this year. And his name is, well, he can introduce himself. He can introduce himself.
What is up, hello guys? It's your boy Malupeyt. Panalo ko pa lang.
Galing.
Feels good to be back.
Good
That's how
job.
you play StarCraft.
That's how you play Starcraft. 2 minutes. Or 2 minutes or your pizza's free, guys. But what a worker pull. Double extractor trick just to get over the 16-14 and just wins out the worker fight. So you're feeling good after seeing yourself win, right? Feeling good?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Tsaka
what I see.
in-expect ko na rin yung meme nila JON eh. So,
And so, it's time to curb your expectations though, because we're gonna be getting into the big leagues now, Malupeyt. We're gonna
yeah.
have our Zerg players, we're gonna have our Masters players, whatever, and we're gonna see the usual suspects. In all honesty, here in our top 4 in the upper bracket, we got Nux, Bayagster, Ender, and well, the debut of Sifu here, actually making it all the way. But Nux and Bayagster, this is a matchup we've seen many times, Mr. Vic, in the quarantine tournaments. Yeah,
Well, we all know Nux and Bayagster, especially. I think Bayagster still holds the #1 spot as the Protoss player here in the Philippines, and Nux is one of our most premier talents here, in not only in the Philippines but also in the Southeast Asia. So this is going to be an interesting matchup because they're really both unpredictable. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, they really are, and they do like to put each other to the test. But the problem in this matchup is we've seen the Zerg get the better of the Protoss multiple times. Usually, you see Bayagster in that top 3, and you see Nux in the top 2. And usually, Bayagster is kind of the stepping stone for either Ender or Nux to make it back for the rematch. So it's kind of the same storyline. It really goes to show that we do have established players that are really the best of the scene. And even though they end up doing battle in the end of the Masters bracket every single time, it really gets exciting because first things first, we see contenders, and second, when we see that shuffle of the order, it's like, oh, ooh, what's happening? Why is this guy not doing well? Why is this guy doing well? You know, what's going on? But our map pool is gonna be pretty standard, something that we usually see from them. And our first map will be Everdream LE. So what do you think about Everdream? We saw it a while ago from you, and what's something you can do on a Zerg for this map?
Well, as a Zerg, this is one of the most easiest maps to control, and it's really a macro-oriented map. It's like Ice and Chrome, but really smaller, really way smaller. So that's why Everdream is one of my favorite maps too. And tingin ko kasi sa Everdream, kailangan ng Zerg mag-scout. Kaya usually sa mga high-level Protoss, nilalabas talaga nila yung adepts nila to scout around on the map. So
the good thing about Everdream, it's a macro-oriented map on the small side, and you see Zergs often go for the 3-base setup. But the thing against Protoss especially is there is a good place to hide those buildings. There's a lot of ramps, there's a lot of high ground to take, and you can kind of be surprising putting your things on nooks and crannies. It can be like, hey, I put a building here. Surprise, we're good to go with the proxy. But this is going to be game number 1. Of course, this is a best of 3. The whole tournament is best of 3 until we make it to the grand finals, which will be best of 5 and will be live as well. So it's like we're making sure that everyone is gonna have a chance to play though, and I love it. How about you? Since you've been a player for quite a while in the tournament, as we are getting into this game, just go ahead with your story about how the setup has been for you, Mr. Vic.
Well, ever since I started my career in the Gold to Diamond in the SCPH community tournaments, it's really been tough, 2 times David Bain, mga ganun. So, that's why the Malupeyt curse was actually invented, because whoever defeats me actually finishes at the podium spot.
Interesting. You're being sick though. Technical issues. Go ahead. Go ahead. We'll go back to caster cam, guys. For some reason, the capture isn't working. Anyway, what you were saying?
Yeah, and it's also good to advance at round of 8 already. And it really feels like this might be the only chance that I can be a champion at the Gold to Diamond. So I'm really excited, And also, dahil si Jibo yung kalaban ko, we've been also practice partners for so long too. Paras Nicolo. But my preparation is really different coming in for our next matchup. Especially nag-stream ako kanina ng practice ko, tas nanonood si Jiboy. So things are really getting really tight within us.
Yeah, it feels like there's so many practice partners here. It's the first time I've seen this problem though. the game suddenly stopped capturing. So we'll have to quickly reset the setup. Give me a sec, Mr. Malupeyt. I'll just have to reset my game.
Yeah.
But yeah, just as we are getting into this one though, any expectations? What are some of the favorite builds that Nux and Bagster like to do? Is it the mothership or is it the mothership?
Well, Bayagster really likes to play a really weird way. The way that Coach Exoblazer described it is that he really is not a meta gamer. So whatever he builds is really like, kumbaga hinuhugot niya sa bulsa niya eh. Na
Tama.
kung ano yung makuha niya, yun eh. And that's the best way to describe it. And for Nox, I think I've been watching his streams lately. Maganda yung mga ZVP matches niya, especially on that higher spectrum ng GM sa Korea. Because I think once you've reached that GM stage, yung mga certain races may certain playstyles na sila. It really depends on the region. Pero yun nga, malay natin, makita natin yung abuso sa Void Ray opening or yung mga abuso dahil sa mapa natin. So, I'm really excited for this matchup.
Yeah, I can't wait. And hey, if you guys haven't been checking out the scene, well, you should. The quarantine tournament has been a way for us to see who is the best of the best and who can actually play here in StarCraft 2. Something to also note, though, that we've had some good success here and there. Nux himself having some championship right in a few of those regional tournaments here and there. Something to also take note, and they're making it to the top 4, if I remember correctly, of the OCE/SCA side of DreamHack World.
Yeah.
So really going against the best that, well, the region as well as Australia has to offer. Sadly, couldn't make it till the end, but it's a really, really hard battle to make it to the top 4 anyway. And just a little bit more. It really feels like just a little bit more, and we can make it to the big scenes yet again through either one or two Zerg players.
Yeah, and tingin ko rin kasi since the OCE region has been integrated sa Southeast Asia, the competition got a little bit tighter. Dahil syempre yung mga players sa New Zealand, Australia, they really packed their own arsenal rin kasi kumpara sa Southeast Asia players natin. And tingin ko, I think Ender can still make a big name for himself,
sure.
diba?
For sure, and especially Nux now having more time on their hands to get even better. It really feels like it's one of these two guys, or one of the two Zergs, unless we see a debut here, homegrown from the quarantine setup from all our SCPH local tournaments. We've seen so many different iterations of tourneys here in the local scene, and this is just our, this is our flagship one. This is one that started things off. And speaking of it, I fixed it up, and we are good to go here, Vic. Let's get into the action. Let's get into the game, and let's get into our first Masters match. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and here we are on Everdream LE. Introducing first, here on the top right of Everdream, he is known as to be one of the best Zerg players in the region, one of the best Zerg players in the country. You can debate, is it Ender or is it this guy? I can really say that this man is always looking to bring in the competition. A 2-time champion of the quarantine tournament. His name is Nux. With an X now, guys. With an X. So, ba't na X? Ba't na X yan? Ba't na X, Vic? And you know why?
Laging nagpapalit yan ng spelling eh. It's NUKS, biglang magiging NUX, tapos magiging NUKS ulit.
I don't know.
Pero we still know that he's the same guy, diba?
Maybe
you pronounce it the same way.
Yeah, it just changes with the seasons, probably changes with the climate. But here on the other side, this man has been a force to be reckoned with, no matter what in the local scene. Broodwart, SC2, whatever faction he can play, he will play. He can be the destroyer of brackets, he can be the slayer of dreams, but he is here to medicate, and he is here to play it again. His name is Bayagster. There you go. This is a matchup we see a lot. And I love seeing it, but historically, right, just gotta say this is a heavy favor in Nux from what we've been seeing so far in the quarantine tournaments.
Yeah, and usually what's unique here, since in the bracketing, usually nagkaalaban na sila Nux Bayagster bago mag-finals eh. But I think this is still the early stages of the bracket ng Masters brackets.
Yeah, round 3. So we're not even there yet till the end. This is the semifinals of the upper bracket, basically, then upper bracket finals, and then grand finals. So it's pretty much where they usually meet each other, either this round or the last one. But in a case like this, we are gonna get a standard game for both sides. Here we go, the simulators. We get the 1 gate, we got the 1 core, we got the Nexus, we get the hatchery, we got the pool. So everything looking pretty tip-top and handy so far. So that's really worth mentioning besides what is going on. So in this instance, a little bit more of the of the things that Bayagster can potentially whip out against Nux?
Well, I'm really expecting some maybe Adept plays or Immortal plays, and Twilight Council really early. So I guess we might see some DTs. I mean, Glaive Adepts coming in from Bayagster.
Oh, and speaking of DT, so that's something he likes to follow up on. He
Mhm.
does one thing, and then suddenly, surprise, DT.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, yeah.
And like,
He really likes that plays.
and it's interesting. And we've seen this from the higher tiers of play also, that there are a few players that reinforce their lines with DTs because usually they're not expecting it. They're expecting something else, or you have your own counter detection, and then you surprise, there's things striking from the shadows. And the thing about DTs is invisibility equals invincibility, and the amount of damage that they do against single targets is pretty scary to say the least. As the depth going to be going on out, we see Nux though going for that third hatch as expected here on Everdream. Nux also spreading that creep as much as possible, something he loves to do, especially in bases that he needs to take care of.
Well, I think the plan of action here for Bayagster is that since charge for Zealots are already being researched, I think he's opting to go for that 2 Immortal Zealot push with a Warp Prism, the really strong timing attack that is really hard to defend once you've read the build of your opponent really badly. And additional gateways being added too. So I think that would be the plan of action here for Bayagster.
Yeah, Bayagster gonna get more and more of these gates up online. Here we go, Warp Research Show gonna be into play as well. 2 base, 4 gates, 1 robo, all good to go. And with charge slots coming your way, as you said, they can be very potent. And something to note, they're very cost effective, if to say the least. Bayagster though gonna get surrounded by Nux. Good catch there onto the third base. And this side though, Nux is gonna be happy to go for the drone cycles. He's just like, okay, I can go for the roaches, I can do whatever the hell I want and more. And the thing to note is, it feels like for Nux, he's just priming himself to weather the storm no matter what Bayagster brings to this table.
Yeah, I think he's also anticipating this build in a sort, or he's anticipating something like a timing attack happening, since a Spine Crawler is already placed and a lots of links being followed up too. Roach Warden is finished right on time here. So good timing here from Nux. Any type of timing attack, he has the right arsenal or capabilities to defend it.
Yeah, and it really goes to show our Masters players here, our Grandmaster players, they're always looking to play things efficiently. And as you said, Roach is going to be a good answer to pretty much anything coming his way. They're very cheap, they're very tanky, and they are good to go, especially in the early to mid of this game. But Bayagster, in the meantime, it's Observer time here, Mr. Malupeyt. And here on Everdream, there's going to be a few spots here and there that you can actually use the Observers to get a lot of intel. Warp Prism, though, trying to go for drops, doesn't get too much. There comes a Warp Cycle seen in front of the Overlord, and he's just like, guys, I have something to tell you. Guys, I'm coming. Let me tell you my story. There's a Warp Prism coming. There's a Warp Prism coming filled with Zealots, and you gotta be prepared. But, sometimes that thing is a lot slower than anything else. But Bayagster, in the meantime, he's gonna be going for it. There's nothing that can shoot down this Warp Prism. It's all up to these Zealots to pretty much do anything here into the middle line. That Queen is the only thing that's anti-air on the creep itself. But in terms of the army here for Nux, it's Lings as well as Roaches. A good early game defensive composition. And you can see for Nux right now, he's just happy to go for more and more drones. But Bayagster, in the meantime, saturating 2 bases.
Yeah, and beautiful defensive setup coming in here on the side of Nux. He is really everywhere at this early stages of the game. Multiple run bys coming in onto the side of Bayagster, but beautifully deflected by Nux here. And also, more Zealots would be caught out of position here.
Yeah, Bayagster's trying to make these Zealots work, but Nux in the meantime with too much of a swarm, and he's gonna surround these lots. The thing about the Zealots, sure, they can go for the charge, but if they can't move, it's not gonna happen whatsoever. And while all this is happening, Nux is basically playing a defensive and looking to make it an offensive soon. He's almost doubled the army count, and we see this a lot from Nux. Question is though, will this be a Nidus, or he's gonna go for Evo Chamber instead? So looking to reinforce and bait these units even better. He's gonna be lagging behind on the upgrades though, so he's gonna take his sweet time to go for the 4th base instead. Now harassment onto the wall itself. +1/+1 will be up here for the side by Bayagster. He will be separating though the Adept onto the other side, and Archon's gonna be into play after. We do have that Templar Archives. But it seems like for Bayagster, he's just trying to get a better drop here, Vic. He wants to go for the Archon drop, but while all of this is happening, Nux is just saying, okay, if you have better quality, I'm gonna have better quantity. And with 4 bases and all of this larva to use, he is just good to go for the long haul.
Yeah, and also 2 Warp Prisms here onto the side of Bayagster. I think this is where he's going to utilize these 2 Archons here. And upgrades also finished onto the side of Bayagster, so his units would really pack a punch at this early stages of the game, since the upgrades of Bayagster, since the upgrades of Nux is really still halfway there.
Yeah. The amount of Bayagster upgrades now compared to the Nux upgrades is like having a full hand compared to only having one finger, basically. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem right now is Bayagster still doesn't have enough to push, because Nux has answered with numbers, and he has to
Yeah.
respect that. He can, unless he can go for some drops with the Warp Prism that he's been trying to do, then it's not going to pan out. And look at this, Nux is happy to separate his army, to have these things on patrol, just leave them alone to get rid of whatever is to come. And the creep spread is getting even creepier. This is just all around the map. He's looking to get to the halfway marker, trying to get to the diagonal itself, but Bayagster now is on the hunt and is on the prowl. He will be able to look for a shutdown on the third base, perhaps. Spine crawlers though are set up. Here comes a charge left though into play, and I like the Warp Prism is there to go for reinforcements. The Archons though looking for a hunt or two. Here comes more of those units. 2 drones have gone down. This is gonna be the Spine crawler going on down. The surround though gonna be in order, and the concave is here, courtesy of Nux. 2-prong attack, very well played. Archon though gonna get saved, but besides that, Nux will shut this one down, and using that creep there, Vic, to move around so efficiently.
Yeah, good utilization of the creep and good creep spread. Gotta give some kudos to Nux here. Beautiful creep spread, almost already across the map in the 8-minute 40 mark, and it really makes his defensive rotations really easy for him. And even though it's a multi-prong attack coming in from Bayagster, just the quantity of units smashing any kind of pressure coming in onto the side of Bayagster. And I think this is the time for Nux to counter-attack.
I don't think it's a counterattack by this point, Vic. I think it's just gonna be an overrun, because that's almost 100 on the army advantage. Sure, these Archons are cool and all, but the big blue balls of energy cannot handle too much of that power overwhelming in front of them, because this is a big army. This is looking scary. And here comes the Warp Prism now trying to go for it. So 100, right? 126. And upgrades don't matter if you don't have anyone to use it. It's like building the best weapons but having no one there to actually hold it down. Here comes also going to be good reinforcement cycle. Nux has to play this smart. He has to build his concave yet again if he doesn't want to get surrounded there. And the bile! That was huge there from Nux. 22 probes have gone down. Here goes Bayagster. They'll go for the counterattack. And he is just going to be trying to stem that side, but it's not going to be happening here. Nux holding on with the Roaches and the Ravagers, has the +1 online. The Hydras are going to be there as well, and everything looking to be too overwhelming for our Protoss.
Yeah, the Hydralisk arrived just on time as the army of Nux is thinning out a little bit. I really thought that Bayagster can't hold that much, can hold that very well, but it's really surprising that there's still this much remaining onto the side of Bayagster. But now Nux chasing away the forces of Bayagster here, but here comes more of the reinforcements coming in from our Red Zerg, ladies and gentlemen, and GG has been called. Nux wins our first game.
Sir, that is that. And look at that, look at the mini-map. The reinforcements are coming from so many different angles. Nux is just happy to allow himself to go all the way through to the other side, and in the end, it's just overwhelming odds, overwhelming others, punishing the Protoss player there.
Yeah, and everything onto the side of Nux is really flawless. Any kinds of pressure coming in from Bayagster was really crushed. And with that, especially if you stayed on 2 base, mahirapan ka talaga humabol in terms of economy.
It's just too much. And the thing about Bayagster, as you said, he was playing very, very defensively with the quality of his units. But besides that, he didn't have any map control. He knew that if he went outside, it would get overrun like that. And as the moment Nux saw that one coming, I think that was that, right? As it was like, oh, third base, that's my attack, that's my cue. Because I know you're not going to have much of an army behind this. I know that I can just easily decimate whatever you have. And I love the adjustment there. It was a good call for Bayagster to go for the warp cycle beside him, with the warp and trying to go for the flank, but in the end, it's not gonna happen if the reposition is there. And well played to Nux. The macro always on point for this guy. When I first saw him, I honestly knew him more as a macro player, and it's really, really impressive to see him expand like crazy and get so much creep onto that map.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah, love it. So next map though, gonna be on to the macro side even more so. Eternal Empire. Like I said, it's a standard map pool, and I gotta ask you, Vic, why do we see Everdream and Eternal Empire a lot? Is it because they come from previous ladder pools or what?
Well, for me, it's from personal preferences. Dahil nga it's from the last patch, it's the familiarity is really staying with the players, and also it's really good maps. It gives you a lot of options and plays to execute, especially on Eternal Empire. I think majority of the cheese games that has been successful in GSL and the ESL has come from Eternal Empire. So
I mean, everyone picks it. It really is. It really is what it is. It's usually Eternal Empire, Everdream, one of the macro maps, and whatever they can tolerate on the other maps. That's pretty much it. It's like you got Eternal Empire, you got Everdream, you got either Ice and Chrome Pillars or Pillars or Gold, and then whatever maps left that suits your faction. That's basically it. But in any case, though, we'll be getting into game number 2. It's Nux right now with a 1-0 lead. Bayagster looking to come on back for a potential reverse sweep. Let's get into the matchup. Let's get into Eternal Empire. This map, never aging, never stopping, is still here by this point in time. Whew. Here we are, Vic. On to Eternal Empire. If you've ever been a fan of StarCraft in the past few months, you should know this map, in all honesty. It's been a while. It's been a very long while, in all honesty, that this map has never left that map pool. But it really goes to show, it's a map that's loved by everyone. But you know, your love right now should be going to our Red Zerg. Introducing him on the top right of Eternal Empire. His name is Nux. And his opponent, here on the southwest instead, he's on that Greed Protoss looking to just bring in something a little different yet again. When the surprise is here in time, then this man can win it all out, and his name is Bayagster. Here we go again. EVZ. You think we're gonna get a repeat of that last game, or is it gonna be different here for Bayagster? I'd love to see him go beyond 2 bases though first.
Well, I think he opted to go for that Archons for a more economical approach dahil yung Immortal Zealot is more of an all-in. Once you've crushed that attack, it's basically GG for you. But what Bayagster done is really more on the harassment side. Archons, multiple Zealot drops, and everything, but it clearly did not work. So I think with his back against the ropes this time, you might see something more of a timing attack na mas malakas yung sapak, kumbaga.
Yeah, it really feels like it. It's something more forceful, something that can actually bother his opponent enough. And the thing about it is, it's like a mosquito, right? But sometimes you have fly swatter and you smack it down and it really can't suck any of your blood. Sometimes it has to be that potent. It has to have dengue or something to make it even scarier. Guys, if you get dengue, please stay safe. And also, though, stay safe during this day and age. But my point still stands. You just gotta be more lethal with whatever the hell you want to do with it. And therefore, Bayagster, he just didn't have the numbers to back it all up. Wasn't as, well, it wasn't as all-in as I really expected, because he was going for upgrades, he was going for different things, and in the end, he sacrificed the number of his units to try and have a better time against his opponent. And it's just not gonna fly with what almost 100 army difference. That's too much even for upgrades to handle.
I think there was at least at some point a 124 to 44 army supply. And that would not really cut it, especially since you're battling out with the Zerg.
Oh, look at this though. Quick Twilight cancel. You think this is Blink Stalker? You think this is Glaives? What's gonna be planned here for Bayagster?
Well, we might see. I'm hoping to see Glaive, because if he's going for charge lots, oh there it is.
Wish granted. There you go. Because this is a very quick Twilight cancel, and you usually don't get this besides the Glaive opening, right? It really feels that with the Adepts, they're just so potent at destroying any single middle line that is unattended. And if Nux is able to see this one coming, he should be going for an immediate Roach Warren to try and stem the tide. But he's gonna go for the Spore Crawler instead. I think he's thinking that this is gonna be a Stargate opening, and did Bayagster actually do anything to make him react in that way? Because this is just Glaives coming your way. This is going to be gateways right now. Interesting call with the Spore Crawler. And Nux is like, okay, I realize my mistake. I go for the cancel. And that's the thing about this game, right? With our Masters players, they know immediately when they are reading it wrong and know how to basically save the resources.
Yeah, here comes the Overlords coming in from the side of Nux. And so also, kanina pa may link dito na hindi napapansin ni Bayagster. But good scout coming in from Nux here. I think at this point he knows what Bayagster is going to do once that Glaive or once this research finishes up.
Immediately on cue though, Roach Warren gonna be going online. Also gonna be in the front line. Adepts are great units, but not too good against buildings. So in a case like this, Roach Warren is, effectively safe in a way. It's pretty funny to say that, hey, your building is safe in the front line. Yeah, it's fine. The thing it just tickles. And in a case like this, you need those armored units to try and defend. But Nux will have to get a little bit more of that creep spread, I believe. He does need to also go for the Larva Injects just in case he needs more units. But the thing about the Eternal Empire is something I mentioned in your game also. It's not connected. These 3 bases are not connected naturally because it's a bigger map than usual.
Yeah, but I think Nox already got the reads coming in onto the
Mhm.
side of Bayagster. He's now massing on links. The drone production has already stopped, and an additional spine crawler being added up here.
Yeah, pretty good smart play. Reinforcements have arrived. Tentacle is going to be strong. And going for the pokes and the prods in a tanky form is very, very effective, to say the least. It's not in static defense, sure, but it can move on around if need be. Nuxo, in the meantime, gonna have all these units still onto the third base, but maybe the second base is where all the action's gonna be. These are the depths, though, giving chase, forcing the drones to run on away. The Lynx right now going for a little bit more of this round. There we go, the Queens and the pokes and the prods yet again. And these are the Roaches looking to go ham at the same time. Lynx, though, actually catching out the Warp Gate, and this is really well played here by Nux, because he knows that Bayagster wants to go for the aggro play, and he knows there's no robo facility. He looked around the map, saw the proxy, and he will shut this one down.
Yeah, that was a massive investment coming in onto the side of Bayagster, but beautiful cleanup onto the side of Nux. Just as what I've told earlier, that Bayagster is really not a meta gamer. There is no Warp Prism to follow that up, but he opted to go for that proxy gateway here, and it is really not that effective.
I'm scared,
And I
though.
think
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really scared at this point too
Yeah, look
for
at that.
Bayagster.
The Lynx are waiting. But something to note, though, is Bayagster has gone into double Stargates +1. So, Cybercore looking for the upgrade. And since Nux sees that thing glowing, it's like, what the hell is he building there? Warpgate is already out in the bat, so this means that there's going to be Sky Toss coming his way. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nux later on get right to some more anti-air investment. But for the time being, he's taking his sweet time to try and disassemble this Cybercore, denying the upgrade there. The Link's going to be all the way hanging on around Bayagster in the meantime, defending with the Stalkers. But with the Void Raids here and now, these things have been buffed, right? These things are a lot better
Yeah,
than they
yeah.
used to.
hmm And I think at this point, Nux has a timer to end this game. But once it's cleaned up, I think it's really interesting to see how they would follow this up as they would head into the late game phase, to the late game phases of this game. But still, Nux heavily droning at this point, and fourth base is already on the way too. But Bayagster is still on two base.
This Bayagster just vaporizing every single thing, but as you said, still onto base, and Nux is gonna go for a fourth at the same time. So today, guys, we'll be featuring one lower bracket matchup, we'll be featuring the two upper bracket matchups, and hey, it really is just all about being of the same round. It'd be pretty interesting though, 3 matches per bracket and per round also. So it's fun because we get to see a few more players that we don't normally see in our usual broadcast, and it goes to show that everyone is giving their sweet time and giving their all in the quarantine tournament number 5 of Bags right now, with a flock of phoenixes flying on around. Seems like Mass Phoenix might be the way to go for him in this instance. A strike squad, though, to bother anything he can go for the graviton beam on. And as we say here on Eternal Empire, pretty good for the phoenixes to stay on the nooks and crannies, that there is no ground down below. Overlord still getting hunted. Nux in the meantime trying to ferry them off, and Karif is gonna go online to allow him to really run those away. This is gonna be the Phoenix, though, caught out by the Queens, and in this instance, it's still Nux bringing in more and more units into this game.
Yeah, Hydralisk currently available for his disposal, and actually good decisions coming from Nux, actually massing on Queens, not committing on the Hydralisk then earlier. But also, this Adepts would be caught out as they are moving across the map.
Oh my
Good
god.
pickoffs here.
As you say that, though, Overlord's also getting picked off, and basically Nux is just getting bothered here. Usually when you see that Sky Toss, it really feels like your Overlords are not going to be safe whatsoever. You gotta make sure that they're hidden somewhere else, because you don't want to lose them and have to use your larva to get cycles and cycles of Overlords. But here we go again. DNS might get caught out here. Ravagers, Roaches, and Zergling's going for the swarms around. And one Adept gonna be able to get the hell out of there, the only survivor of her squadron. But never mind, the Zerg takes no prisoners, and Nux is on the hunt yet again. Can he actually find that Adept is just chilling there, minding its own business, pretending that it's a decoy or whatnot? But here comes the natural, getting harassed yet again. Not gonna be enough though. This is still Bayagster, waiting on for an opportunity with +1 online, but the Hydras are here, and they will be getting speed very, very soon with upgrades abound. Rage is already there.
Yeah, I like what Nux is doing is that he is, despite the Phoenixes negating all the Overlord scouting potential, he is still controlling the map by spreading creep and spreading links all around the map. So every kind of rotation or movement coming from Bayagster is really being picked off one by one.
No, it's still Naga Tower also, allowing him to get all that vision in the world and more. These are the links still gonna be out in front. Hydra's gonna be in behind. Here comes the Ravagers as well. And side time for the Forest Fields to go for the throw. Still though, not gonna be enough. Ravagers can easily bust them down with their abilities. And instead of the Forest Field, they say, okay, you're gonna go for the push. I'm gonna bust down whatever you're bringing here. Augments though are online. These Hydras can slither down even quicker. Have you ever seen a fast snake? Finally, you're gonna see it here in StarCraft 2. But the Colossi are gonna be in behind, cooking up the Hydras there to add in the DPS. Bayagster as well as Daks in a tug of war, but Bayagster is doing a better job here holding the line compared to the last game.
Yeah, and also the Colossus are really being effective at this game, and good force fields coming from Bayagster. And at the early parts of that fight, good corrosive connections onto the side of Nux, but Bayagster overcoming the damage output coming in from the side of Nux and still surviving.
Overcoming the odds, overcoming every single part of that onslaught, and you can really see it was all about the position, right? He was able to avoid most of the biles, he was able to keep the Colossi alive, and in the end, there's nothing really Nux could yoink the Colossi away. There's nothing he can do to try and dislodge them, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go into Hive Tech soon, and that's what he's doing. I'd love to see some Vipers here. Very, very useful with the Clouds as well as the Daks, especially against Colossi. And when you're getting Lurkers, it gets even better because you make a dead zone that you cannot get out of whatsoever.
Yeah, I think this is the late game composition to go onto the side of Nux, especially that Bayagster is still opting and focusing onto this ground-based army. So Lurkers and Vipers is the name of the game for this game number 2.
Go though, Roach is gonna be on the high ground. Here comes Nux right now, looking to go for the flank as well. Ravager is gonna be in position, and Nux, oh Nux, he's using the tenets of Eternal Empire to the best degree. Like I always say, Eternal Empire, it's all about staying on the same kind of heights against your opponent, same kind of grounds, and he went around just to make sure that he's gonna be in position there. Nux, though, in the meantime, also forcing out the castle. These Lurkers are creeping closer and closer. Force fields, though, gonna be into play again. External thermal lance. He has the buy time. With these Colossi on a safer range, it's gonna be better here for the side of Bayagster, but Nux is just waiting for an opportunity, and Bayagster is given the time to breathe for the time being.
Yeah, and also +2 upgrades is a little bit delayed onto the side of Nux, but still this is a surmountable amount of units at this point of the game, but the extended thermal lines are just hammering away onto this Roaches.
Oh my god, did you see that? The Phoenix is able to get a few catches there onto the Lurkers. Bayagster in the meantime has to be very careful because that Lurker out in front, very, very well positioned in, and it's just like this. Stalker though is in the meantime still in the front as well as the rest of the units, but these Lurkers are just so pesky, and you can really feel like the trauma of every Groovar player the moment they added this unit back into multiplayer. But here comes the revelation. Good intel, very, very less costly now onto the energy, but Sizing Spine is going to be a big upgrade. Both sides getting some big upgrades here. It's some speed onto, well, the War Prism versus the range onto the Lurkers. And for now, though, Nux is looking to maximize the potential of the Lurkers. And here for the side of Bayagster, he's looking for the speed pylon to just basically go anywhere on the map and get some drops, get some warp-ins if need be.
Yeah, good defense coming onto the side of Bayagster, but one thing to keep note is that the fort base has been cancelled here onto the side of our green Protoss,
Yes,
but
sir.
onto the side of Nux, he's just extending and controlling the rest of the map already here.
Yes. Now, you know, Vic, we'll have this time count with me. 1 base, 2 base, 3 base, 4 base, 5 base, 6 base, 7 base, and here comes the attack to cancel the fort yet again, and we're seeing Vipers in production. This is looking very, very good here for the side of Nux. He's getting that burrow upgrade there for the Lurkers. He already has the range, which is interesting that he went for that one first because you need Hive Tech for it. But hey, it is what it is. It's all about maximizing whatever you need in terms of minerals and gas. And sure, the 7 base is getting hammered, but it doesn't really matter in the scheme of things because these Vipers are good to go. Some of Duck's going to be absolutely instrumental. Consumption, though, onto the Roach Warren. And I always get scared when you see a tech structure getting drained for energy because one hit and no more roaches, you know? It's risky.
Yeah, that's why I think on the professional side of things, onto the higher end of players, they like to do is build more echo chambers, but here comes the engagement coming from Nux. A little bit of overextension here onto the ramp,
Now the high ground taken very well there by the Colossi. And in the meantime, Bayagster also bothering the lurkers. They were like, hey, we're gonna poke at your buildings. And the revelation comes online to allow them to basically be seen by the Protoss army. Viper's though gonna be into play. Here we go with more of these lurkers. And at the very least, Bayagster is holding the line with the War of the Worlds competition. It's all about the Colossi every single time, but he really needs his fort base up and running.
Yeah, I think Nux keeps on sniping his fort base, keeping his priorities to it, since he knows that this is the street bases cannot sustain the economical needs onto the side of Bayagster, and that's why I think that his map control is really on point to this game.
It just feels like, though, that Nux is looking to choke out his opponent if need be. Is this a prize fight or what? Because these are the lurkers right now getting in position again. Good relation, though, but even better of Daks! And those are huge from Nux! He gets enough intel, he gets enough vision, and here we go again with the yoinks, getting rid of Colossi there. Bayagster was banking on those units to save the day, but with only 39 RP versus 124, we're seeing shades of the previous game, and this is looking very terrible for our Protoss.
Yeah, I think that is the turning point of this game already. All of the Colossus that has been keeping Bayagster alive has been yanked out.
And GG's called. And that is that. Nux looking to do the same old thing against Bayagster in the end. Those of Daks absolutely instrumental. And with lurkers in position, they were just so potent. They were so strong to destroy every single thing that got in their sight line. So a 2-0 right there for Mr. Nux. He will move on to the upper bracket final, or basically the semi-final of the whole thing. And he will be facing off against the winner of whoever is next in our match card. But that is that for this series. 2-0 though. Expected result there, Vic?
Well, kinda. But what I really expected, to be honest, is that Bayagster is really going to put up a great fight. And yes, indeed, he did. He did. So,
he did.
So, yeah.
He did. Anyway, yeah.
So I think Bayagster put up a well fight there. And maybe he can pull on something on our lower bracket. You know, a Cinderella story.
Lagi naman eh. He's always the one there looking to be the gatekeeper of the lower bracket. And something to note though, is it just was the tempo and the roles of the game. It always felt like Nux was always the attacker. And it was always felt like Bayagster was always the defender. And even though Bayagster was trying to break those labels, break those chains, it never really happened. And Nux able to take a really big RB to his face, insurmountable odds, and a 2-0 victory to win it out. But now our next game, guys, is going to be a CVZ, and we will have Ender versus Sifu. The C will be facing off against Nux into the next round. Don't go away. This is the StarCraft PH Quarantine Tournament number 5. This is your month-long tournament, and we'll be right back for more Masters Plus games.